when you watch this movie, I don't think there's any memorable lines of dialogue.
No, not at all.
At all.
Yeah, dialogue's terrible. For the most part.
I don't think there's anything that's quotable here.
Nope.
I don't think there's anything that people are, going around saying. I mean, unless you want to go around saying,
Parker, there is time to salvage the situation. Parker,
Shut your pie hole.
Or what? Ranger Rick.
Unless you want to go around quoting that, But there's no lines of dialogue that are quotable at all. I don't think there's any characters that have really that really stand out. DTmerch.com is up, and we got plenty of stuff for it. We got all kind of stuff now, from mugs to coasters to stickers to caps, hoodies, and we got the shirt of the month. Don't forget Pixie. Pixie's going to be our shirt designed by Teresa Rockabirdie. It's going to be up for the rest of December. Okay, so let's go into this discussion here real quick and talk about, the lack of a huge cultural impact. I mean, obviously it has enough impact to where we can get a sequel and people still remember it. It has enough impact to where it's the biggest movie of all time, I think.
Yep.
So it's to say it has no impact is probably not fair. But what? Well, let me ask you this: when people say it has no cultural impact, besides not remembering the names of characters and whatnot, what else is there that you think it's lacking? I can name some things, but what do you think is lacking?
I think the main thing is when it comes down to its characters. Like, I don't feel like anyone. When you think of like the greatest sci-fi, the greatest fantasy characters of all time.
Well, let me ask you. I don't mean to interrupt, but no. I'm asking: is that the reason why you think it does not have any impact outside of?
Yeah, there's not to say that not all the characters have some good moments, but I say the majority of those characters, the main cast, they do not. Mm-hmm. There's nothing memorable about them. Nothing stands out about them. Mm-hmm. And then because of that, like, I feel like, yes, people love spectacle and they love all that, but the thing that keeps us going back to, I think, a lot of these big sci-fi or fantasy films are these characters, are these little intimate moments where we can get attached to Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Bilbo Baggins, Frodo Baggins, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We gravitate towards that. And yes, they have the big grand story, but it's that connection we have that makes it a more a personal experience. I feel like that's what this is lacking. I feel like I'm always on the outside.
Yeah, I think there's. Tell me what you think about this. I think that there's some things with the movie that have definitely lent to that, impact on pop culture. The absence of its impact on pop culture. The movie has something to do with that, because I think when you watch this movie, I don't think there's any memorable lines of dialogue.
No, not at all.
At all.
Yeah, dialogue's terrible. For the most part.
I don't think there's anything that's quotable here.
Nope.
I don't think there's anything that people are, going around saying. I mean, unless you want to go around saying,
Parker, there is time to salvage the situation. Parker,
shut your pie hole.
Or what? Ranger Rick.
Unless you want to go around quoting that, But there's no lines of dialogue that are quotable at all. I don't think there's any characters that have really that really stand out. No. I mean, unless you want to go for something like, what's his name? The military guy.
Stephen Lane's character.
Yeah, Stephen Lane. Unless you want to do something like that. But the Navi characters, I don't think any of them really stand out except for Jake Sully. Mm. And that's just because he's the main character. Mm-hmm. And they tried to have, with this movie, they did try to, put something out there, because my other thing with this probably not having any kind of impact is that, in addition to the movie, now I think you can take anything and make it popular with the right marketing. Mm-hmm. I think there was just a lack of merchandising and marketing.
Oh, sure.
I don't think there were after a while, there weren't a whole lot of toys. No. There weren't a whole lot of lunch boxes or sheets or...
a failed video game.
I hear them coming from the south. I wish wish to transfer to the bodies of these incredible.
Yeah, they tried to make a game. As you can see, it's very exciting. They tried to make a game back then. I think that's probably the biggest extent of it. You know, I don't know how many merchandising tie-ins they had or tie-ins they had with food, fast food, anything. You know, when you look at that and you see that it didn't have that big merchandising or promotional push, you know, as far as, you know, being in Happy Meals or whatever. I think that's also a part of it too.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think the thing that you can learn from this, as we keep saying, this not having, you know, the big cultural impact as we usually associate with a big blockbuster, especially the biggest blockbuster of all time. I think that's probably the biggest reason. And in a way that's kind of cool because, you know, it just shows you that no matter how big your movie is, if you're not feeding the blockbuster machine, nobody's going to remember a whole lot or nobody's going to be talking about it.
Right.
You know, that's why we see, you know, for better or for worse, that's why we see sequels being put out a lot. That's why we see sequels being rushed for worse. You know, that's why we see, you know, models of whole, you know, franchises of films, you know, being released one after another, you know, being built on releasing that next big movie. You know, that's what Marvel's built on now. Yeah. You know, to keep it in the public eye. You know, that's why they keep making video games and cereal and food tie-ins. You know, and I think in a way, that's actually kind of respectable on James Cameron's part, that he just didn't do all that for, you know, for years and oversaturate the market with Avatar, and then, you know, spent years working on his sequel until he was ready. And I to me that seems kind of cool, you know.
I could see that, but you know, at the same time, I don't think that in turn makes me very excited for the sequel. It's like the only thing that I have to really base any excitement on is the original, which I'm already kind of iffy on for a variety of reasons. Yeah, you know, that's the problem. Well, that's that I have. It's a personal problem. Yeah.
Well, see, that's what's going to really determine, you know, with being a blockbuster that did not have the traditional tie-ins and pushes and campaigns and marketing, you know, is that going to affect how we see this sequel? Or again, is marketing for this movie alone right here going to be enough to make it a huge hit? Sure. You know, is it enough to tell people, put into their heads, this is going to be the biggest movie of all time? Is that enough alone to make people believe it and go out and see this movie?
That seems to be what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, which is a little weird. Definitely goes against the grain, as you said.
I think it's something I'd say it's something about James Cameron to where, you know, this is going to be the one where we really start to buy into this thing of this guy just knows audiences. Yeah. He doesn't need to like do the traditional route of making a huge movie. He just knows how to deliver something to people.
Yeah, that appeals to a broad spectrum of different people.
You know, like I said, I think James Cameron is mostly, I think he likes the stories in his movie. I think he does put something in it. Yeah, I don't think he's just writing things to put it out there just to make a buck. I don't think he's putting it out there just to service the special effects. But I do think that, you know, I do think he really is in awe of the world he's building more than proud of the stories.
Yeah, no, I feel like I think he's obsessed with the technology. I mean, he even said it so. Like before he even considered wanting to make a sequel, he wanted to make sure the technology was up to date for his vision. Yeah, you know that's where his interests lie. Yeah. Is the technology, is the look of this world, and I don't know. It makes me feel a little melancholy because he says he just wants to keep making Avatar movies for the rest of his life, for the rest of his career. He wants to do it up to Avatar 6. Or even when he says that if I were to die, if I were to pass on, I can't do it. I'm going to train someone to make Avatar movies because there's the only person on the planet who's going to make them is me.
He's going to have an Avatar trainee.
Yeah, he's going to have an Avatar trainee, or at least to try to.
He's going to be the Avatar master.
He's the Avatar master, yeah. So someone's got to interlink their hair hentai with James Cameron, and they'll bond. And
there's James Cameron and his pupil right there.
There he is. Yes. Yeah. My only thing is but you're right where he loves technology, but he doesn't seem to, I don't know, care for providing this world of a lot of depth. And that's the thing I think that was been missing. Well, even a lot of his movies, even back in the day with Titanic.
Yeah.
You know, that seems to be a consistent problem he's had for about 20 years. He doesn't make many movies in the last 20 years, but that seems to be something that has held him back in my opinion.
It's funny because I think again, I think those movies have a lot of heart. They might not be deep, especially in the character department, but I do feel there's a lot of heart behind those movies. And funny thing is, I think James Cameron, like sort of like George Lucas, you know, but to a much better extent, is somebody who they did have a lot more heart in their stories back in the day, and somehow the technology has taken them over.
Yeah.
It's like the technology is a thing that they really are focused on when they start making these movies, because it's so much fun to apply it. And sometimes you get to this point where you're so much more into the technology, into the story, because you just can't balance the two sometimes. And I look at, when I look at Aliens, man, Aliens was a great story, and that whole thing between Newt and Ripley.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just this movie had so many great characters that you just don't see James Cameron doing anymore.
No. You have the spectacle, but you still have like a really good, intense, intimate story, and you have this wonderful personal connection, which everyone get on board with. It's a mother trying to protect her child.
Yeah, and I just thought, like, wow, you're right. When I think about James Cameron was a guy at one time that I thought, now this guy has the right balance of special effects and technology and telling a story. Aliens is one of my favorite movies because of that. It's not because of the spaceships and all the effects and whatnot. It's because those characters are amazing.
There's nothing back here.
Look, I'm telling you, there's something moving and it ain't us.
Get them out of there!
And do you notice something about Aliens? Aliens has a lot of quotable lines too.
Yes, it does.
Something that's missing from something like Avatar. There's a lot of quotable lines in that. Game over, man.
Game over, man. Stay frosty.
Stay frosty. It's the dry heat.
Yeah, it's dry. Yeah, so many. Yeah. Navi. I think maybe they tried to do that with I See You. But it's just like, you look at me like, wait, what?
Oh, you're talking about the Navi?
Yeah, the Navi. Yeah,
I see you, Jack Sully. Yeah, I don't see it.
But yeah,
get away from her, you bitch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
iconic lines.
Yeah, they had some great lines in that movie that you just the depth of character that you see in something like Aliens. And maybe somebody said he didn't write Alien's script by himself.
Oh, there you go. So was his producing and partner and wife at the time, Gail Ann Hurd?
I think so.
Might have been her as well.
Yeah.
Right,
so
make up with her and have her write your movies.
Yeah. So there you go, yeah.
We'll see. We'll let you know what the sequel's like.
Yeah, we'll see. But that's the reason why I think. I mean, it's noble and is also somewhat lacking in the movie at the same time that you don't feel that impact today with that.
It's a little sad.
But hey, we'll see what we say that. But then this movie's going to come out and it's going to be huge. And then what can you say? If the Way of Water actually comes out and is a huge hit, you can't say that it hasn't had any impact anymore. It has, because it has an impact on one thing that matters.
Yeah,
box office,
money.
Yep.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So there you go. So by the time you see this, we might possibly be full of shit. Some people say you are anyway.
That's fine, man. I'm good. I don't mind that.
I know I'm full of shit.
No, honestly, I'll tell you what. I hope I love it. I want to like the movie, but we'll see.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Somebody says the writers of The Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes are co-writing the Avatar movies. So that's something.
That's better.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Like those movies.
I love those movies.